OpenAI announced its first partnership with a university. It's Arizona State University. The president of Arizona State University was a founding board chair of In-Q-Tel, which is, according to Wikipedia, an American defense industry venture capital firm in support of the Central Intelligence Agency. In-Q-Tel funded Niantic, which is an augmented reality company. By the way, if you are developing apps for the Apple Vision Pro, you're not allowed to call it augmented reality or mixed reality or virtual reality. You must refer to it as spatial computing. Anyway, Niantic is the maker of Pokemon Go. The Electronic Frontier Foundation has set up a surveillance hub where you can check in on your US city and see what types of surveillance are being used, like street cams or body cams or whatever. The current United States presidential administration is launching an initiative in order to stop other countries, from exploiting the data of Americans for espionage and blackmail. In other news, the NSA buys Americans' data without warrants. It's weird that this is news. The United States House of Representatives, a body meant to represent people, voted against a set of privacy rules in 2017, and this vote made it legal for the highest bidder to buy your internet data from your ISP. So any ISP can sell all the data on you to the highest bidder. So I don't know why that shouldn't include the NSA. They could buy things fair and square. Fossil is quitting the smartwatch business. I didn't even know they made smartwatches. Disney unveiled the hollow tile floor. This is a little floor you can walk infinitely in any direction. It's like a little treadmill made of these modular bits that can also display graphics. And according to MIT News, some researchers have demonstrated rapid 3D printing with liquid metal at furniture sizes. Remember, the metaverse is not a game. The metaverse is our new government. The metaverse is our new economy. The calendar is in the United States. The printer I use was bought by a larger corporation and now it's printed in Canada, but according to the tracking number, it's in the United States. I will have it in my hand soon, so if you ordered one, you will get it soon. And if you haven't ordered one, order one. A few years ago, I accidentally became an esthetician, which is like a skin specialist, but it's not a doctor. And mostly what they teach you is to be a shill for the skincare industrial complex. And everything with me eventually just becomes astrology. So I made this thing called Skincare ZODIAC, and you can find that on beautygrease.com. This whole week has a finishing quality. We're winding down to the dark moon next week. Monday could be very cutting edge. In the afternoon on Monday, we have Mars completing a trine with Uranus. This is very cutting edge. Monday is very cutting edge. We have Mars completing a trine with Uranus. This is very straight to the point. It might be a good day to shed inhibitions, unless you're a Gemini. In that case, this aspect will occur in your 8th and 12th houses, with the ruler of your 8th house in the 10th. So maybe you'll embarrass yourself, but maybe also that needs to happen. There are many recipes for this in astrology, but one thing you might be able to access, this is a version of the Riz. Especially if you have a lot of Aries or Scorpio, or if Mars is your Time Lord this year. Tuesday, the moon moves into Libra in the middle of the night, between Monday and Tuesday. And the moon also trines Pluto in the middle of the night. Tuesday has the potential to be a little bit scintillating, but don't force it. It's complicated. Tuesday is like, we also had the moon squaring the moon in Libra, ruled by Venus, and squaring Venus in Capricorn. And the moon is also applying, which will happen on Wednesday, to the south node, which is like the less button. It's a dumping out. So it's complicated. Tuesday and Wednesday are like 5 million shades of gray. On Wednesday, we just have the moon conjoining the south node, and then the moon in Libra, ruled by Venus in Libra, squaring Mars in Capricorn. Tuesday might not feel amazing, but there's an opportunity if you are able to access the detachment part of yourself, the turning away part of yourself. The moon is the activator of the zodiac. The moon makes things real and takes things out of existence. The moon is like your mother saying, I brought you into this world, I can take you out of this world. And the moon is waning, conjoining the south node. So there's a quality of subtraction. And something that the south node does is it takes material things and disappears them and turns them into spiritual benefits. If you're going to reap benefits, they'll be spiritual or they'll be lessons. But also moon conjoining the south node, especially if the moon is your time lord or Libra is your perfected house, there could just be a sense of like, I don't want to do this anymore. Or something suddenly is like, this isn't how it's going to be. Something suddenly is like, this is not how it's going to be. So that story extends into Thursday a little bit, and then in the afternoon, the moon moves into Scorpio, which is, I guess, still complicated, but in a very different way. In a less like social entanglements way, and more of just like a primal needs-based way. On Thursday, we get the moon squaring Pluto from Scorpio. So now when the moon squares Pluto, it's in Scorpio, which is much more complicated. So now when the moon squares Pluto, it's in Scorpio and it's fallen. So there's something about Pluto in Aquarius that is about authorities and the collective bringing forth not robust health, not taking care of bodies. The moon in Scorpio squaring Pluto in Aquarius is like, on the one hand, it's doom scrolling. So watch out for doom scrolling on Thursday. If you catch yourself doing it, realize, oh, that's just what time it is. It's okay. I just needed to doom scroll for a minute. And now that can open my eyes to the gratitude I have for how things aren't quite as doom-filled as that which I'm scrolling. So the ick feeling of Thursday could be like, health is not prioritized. There's something about what's going on with society and technology that does not prioritize health or feeling good or emotional complexity. It's certainly empirically scoring emotions and sending that to the data center. Pluto is in the sign of Saturn, so it's building something, and it's building something different than what it was building from 2008 until a couple weeks ago. Also on Thursday, headed into Friday, the veil is thin. We have Mercury completing a sextile with Neptune in the wee hours between Thursday and Friday. Technically, this occurs Friday morning, early Friday morning if you're like in New York. So Thursday, in all your doom scrolling, something you could do is access your imagination. Something you should watch out for is being credulous, being gullible. Maybe there are fantasies that are easy to believe in. But something Mercury sextile Neptune is good for is works of fantasy. One thing, and I still can't believe this is real, and I still haven't researched it anywhere else, but I get this newsletter from this writer who's all about writing and publishing, and one time, a few years ago, she talked about this practice called pantsing. I don't know why it's called pantsing, but I love that for a Mercury-Neptune thing. The name doesn't have to make sense. It just has to feel right. It feels right. So pantsing is you just sit at your computer and you write fiction. You just let it be downloaded to you from the muses. You just sit down and make things up. So Thursday, instead of doom scrolling, you could pants a dystopian techno-fiction. You could create a work of fiction that's evocative of the impending machine intelligence. Also, this is great astrology to ride the wave of the Balmer coding phenomenon. As Albert Einstein said, and I don't really know if he said this exact thing, sometimes you need to be at the blackboard and sometimes you need to be on the bike. Thursday afternoon, headed into Friday, you need to be on the bike. Especially because also in the middle of the night / morning on Friday, the moon opposes Jupiter and the moon sextiles Venus. And both of them are in Earth signs. So something material, or the benefits are of a material nature. And in the middle of the day on Friday, we have the last quarter moon. So the moon is waning down to darkness, and we're continuing to finish things up. Saturday is all trines and sextiles. So we have optimal conditions for finishing things up. It's like engineering works of fantasy with a moon sextiling Mars, trining Neptune, and sextiling Mercury. Even though the moon is fallen, is not in great condition. Maybe these things won't feel super amazing. It's still complicated. And at the end of the day on Saturday, so all day Saturday, this aspect will be applying. At night, the moon moves into Sagittarius, the mythical creature that is a man fused with a horse. The moon sextiles Pluto. So the moon in Sagittarius sextiling Pluto. Now when the moon makes its closing sextile to Pluto, it's the moon in Sagittarius with Pluto in Aquarius. So this will keep happening every 27.3 days or whatever the point is. Neuralink, man and machine melded together. The machine mind generated by hives of human minds. And on Sunday, the moon the moon in Sagittarius, all of our man-machine mind meld might feel a little bit weird, but it's also a little bit circular. The moon in Sagittarius squares Saturn. Sunday has like an experimental woo edge that could feel heavy or burdensome. And maybe it has something to do with your health. And at night on Sunday, and maybe I'll just talk about this more next week, the grand finale of the week, Mercury moves into Aquarius. So we've had Mercury in Capricorn for quite a long time. So Mercury will be in Aquarius Mercury will fly through Aquarius February 4th through February 23rd. First of all, Mercury is going to be with Pluto. So that's whistleblowing, that's TMI, that's control dynamics all over conveyance, thinking, talking, delivery, transportation, all forms of conveyance. Mercury in Capricorn was working on the balance sheet. In Aquarius, it wonders, do we need a balance sheet? Can we do this a little differently? Can we get a view that shows everything on the balance sheet plus the entire context that this whole organization with its balance sheet exists in, and see how can we say it differently? How can we do it differently? Are there traditions that are ready to evolve into new traditions? Are there new rules? I think of Bill Maher's in Aquarius, and he has a segment on his show, or had, I don't know, I haven't watched that show in a long time, called New Rules. Aquarius loves to create new rules. Mercury in both Saturn-ruled signs, I think of like showing your work. And this is for like the obtuse mathematical formula that you've been at the blackboard and on the bike doing. This is laying it all out and making it so that your work can be seen and thus judged. It's adding to this Aquarius pileup of like things being very objective. Life going forth in a very objective, judgmental fashion, for better or for worse. Sometimes we need to judge things, and that doesn't have to be a negative thing. Things must be assessed. So get focused and get some clarity. The calendar is at voyage.earth. The course on how to read your own chart is at voyage.earth. Skincare ZODIAC, if that's your thing. Some people are obsessed with it, and some people are like, what? Your skin is not a separate thing to care for. That's the secret. That's at beautygrease.com. The metaverse is not a game. And remember, your Wi-Fi is a camera that can see through walls.